Some women end up in prison because they made poor choices. Others land there because they loved too deeply and too blindly. Nia Johnson wasn't the type to chase chaos. She wasn't reckless. She was responsible, steady, the kind of girl who kept her mother's house running while her sister roamed the streets. She worked double shifts to pay the bills and never once asked for recognition. But even the strongest women have a breaking point. And for Nia, that breaking point had a name. Monty. DeMonte Ford, better known as Monty, had a charm that could make you ignore every red flag waving in your face. He was the neighborhood's smooth-talking Romeo, quick with his hands, quicker with a lie. But with Nia, he seemed different, or so she believed. They started off as friends, bonding over dollar fries and midnight drives through the city. By 21, they were inseparable. By 24, she was sitting in a courtroom, taking the fall for a crime she didn't commit. Because love, real, raw, blind love, can make even the smartest people do foolish things. And loyalty? Loyalty will walk you right into the fire someone else lit. She thought it would be 3 years, maybe 5. But when the gavel dropped, the number was much higher. Still, Nia stayed silent. No tears, no blame. She kept telling herself, he's waiting for me. He loves me. He has to. But 13 years is a lifetime. Long enough for some people to move on, to start new lives, to rewrite the past like you never existed. And when Nia finally stepped out of those prison gates, she didn't just return to a world that had changed. She walked straight into a betrayal that had been festering in the shadows like mold in a locked room. The kind of betrayal that doesn't just hurt, it poisons your soul. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't fight. She simply remembered. Because some debts aren't settled in courtrooms. Some heartbreaks don't shout, they simmer. When Nia moved, she moved quiet, deliberate, like someone with nothing left to lose and even less to protect. This story? It's not loud. It's not chaotic, but it is unforgettable. If you're drawn to true stories that leave a mark, subscribe, tap the bell, and stay tuned. Because this is only the beginning. Charlotte, North Carolina. Not the glossy side with glass towers and rooftop brunches. The other side, the side with chain-link fences, dusty corner stores, and mothers who pray more than they sleep. That's where Nia Johnson came from. The oldest of 3, she was her mama's right hand. The quiet one who followed the rules, until she didn't. By age 8, Nia could cook dinner, braid her baby sister's hair, and stretch a food stamp card like magic. Life wasn't soft. But Nia was solid, sharp, strong, the kind of girl teachers adored, neighbors trusted, and her mother leaned on like a crutch. She stayed out of trouble, not because she feared it, but because she didn't have time for it. She was too busy holding everything together. Then came Monty. DeMonte Ford, Monty to everyone on the block, had a smile that could melt steel and eyes that said, "You know this is a bad idea, but you're doing it anyway." He was tall, lean, always looking like he just stepped out of a catalog. But make no mistake, he was dangerous. Monty had been in and out of juvie since 15. But his voice? Smooth, persuasive. That man could talk a nun into skipping Sunday Mass. Nia met him at a summer cookout when she was 19. He was leaning against a blue Crown Vic, sipping from a red cup, laughing like he owned the air around him. They weren't supposed to click, but they did. Fast. What started as playful banter turned into late-night drives, deep conversations under the stars, and dreams that felt too big for the neighborhoods they came from. He was reckless. She was careful. He was the spark. She was the anchor. Together, they felt like balance. Until the day everything caught fire. Nia Johnson was calm, the kind of calm that held a family together. While others ran the streets, she ran her mama's house, steady, dependable, always holding it down. She worked double shifts, paid the bills, and never once asked for applause. But even the strongest women have a breaking point. And for Nia, that point had a name. Monty. Monty Ford had the kind of charm that made smart girls ignore sirens. A smooth-talking Romeo from a block, quick with lies and quicker with a smile. But with Nia, he claimed he was different, and she believed him. By the time she was 21, they lived together in a cramped one-bedroom apartment with a busted heater and a mattress on the floor. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. Nia worked full days at the clinic while Monty picked up shifts here and there, swearing he was staying clean. Still, the phone calls made her stomach twist, and the friends he kept were red flags. Every time she asked questions, he'd kiss her forehead and say, "I got us, baby. Trust me." And she did, every single time. Then came Camera, Nia's baby sister. If Nia was the calm, Camera was the storm. Loud, flashy, and wild. Always dressed like she had somewhere better to be. Where Nia stayed in to babysit and fold laundry, Camera snuck out windows, glitter still on her cheekbones the next morning. They loved each other, sure, but something always bubbled under the surface. Camera had spent her whole life watching Nia do everything right and still struggle. She didn't want the chores or the grind. She wanted the attention, the respect, the admiration that came with being the good one. When Nia brought Monty around, Camera was intrigued. She laughed too hard at his jokes, lingered in rooms too long, always found a reason to be close. Nia noticed but brushed it off. She trusted her sister. She trusted Monty. Family doesn't cross lines, right? Still, sometimes Nia caught the sideways glances, the too smooth energy. Monty acted too polite around Camera, too careful. It made her gut twist, but she told herself it was nothing. After all, Monty loved her, said it morning and night, called her wifey, but deep down, her spirit whispered, "Pay attention." She didn't, because love makes you blind and loyalty makes you stupid. Her world wasn't perfect, but it was hers. A small apartment, a man she loved, a sister she trusted, a routine she believed in. What she didn't see was the foundation already cracking beneath her feet. Charlotte nights began to change. The streets felt heavier, and Monty even more so. At 24, Nia noticed his late nights growing later, his conversations thinner. He came home with new sneakers, crisp bills folded in his pockets, money that didn't feel honest. "Where's all this coming from, Monty?" she asked once. He smiled, kissed her forehead. "Been helping my boy flip cars. Easy money, baby. I got us." She didn't push. She wanted to believe. Needed to. Because if he was lying, her whole world was built on sand. And Nia Johnson didn't build on sand. But truth doesn't wait for permission. It kicked your door in. Just past midnight, she was folding laundry, the TV murmuring low. Monty was late. That feeling crept up, cold, like ice sliding down her spine. Then came a knock. Boom, boom, boom. Police. Open up. She barely had time to move before the door exploded inward. Flashlights. Guns. Chaos. They slammed her to the ground, face first. Somewhere behind her, Monty shouted, voice cracking, no longer smooth. They tore through the apartment like they already knew what they were looking for. They found it fast, 2 bricks of cocaine behind coats in the back closet. Under the bed, stacks of cash, perfectly banded. On the table, a digital scale and baggies ready for business. Monty stood frozen, pale and defeated, no words left. Then, just before they separated them, they gave him a moment. No cops in the room, just Monty and Nia. Her wrists were cuffed. Her heart pounded like war drums. He sat across from her like nothing had changed, still rocking that chain, still leaning on that charm like it could save him. "Baby, listen. Just listen," he said, voice low, urgent. "This ain't what it looks like. I didn't know they were coming. I didn't think it would go down like that." She said nothing. Her face did the talking. "Look," he pressed. "They caught you, not me. That means we've got a chance. You can fix this for us." Her eyebrows twitched. "You clean, Nia. No record. First offense. They'll go easy. 3 years, maybe 5. You hold it down, and I swear I'll hold it down out here. I'll be waiting. I swear on everything." He took her cuffed hands in his like it was a vow. "Please, you got the power to save us. Don't let all this fall apart." Nia stayed still, silent. But inside, she was already cracking. She nodded once, because love makes you blind. And loyalty? Loyalty will have you walking into a fire wearing perfume. The next morning, they booked her. Fingerprints. Mugshot. A cold chain around her waist. Cuffs on her ankles like she was dangerous. Like she hadn't just thrown herself into a cage for a man who hadn't even held her hand in public the day before. They asked her to talk. She took the blame. so it was all hers. That Monty knew nothing. She even cried when she told the officer she'd only done it to make quick money. Because love had rules, and Nia followed them. Even in court, she stood alone, shoulders square. The prosecutor laid everything bare: possession, intent to distribute, conspiracy. Monty? Nowhere. No visit. No letter. No word. Just camera, her sister, sitting in the back with sunglasses on, legs crossed, lips sealed. Their mama cried through the whole thing, but the judge didn't blink. 13 years, Miss Johnson. That was it. Cold. Final. Not 3. Not 5. 13. When I let her out in shackles, Nia didn't cry. Didn't look back. She had always been the strong one, the quiet one, the one who carried everything. Now she was carrying time. Heavy, endless time. Her cell was 6 feet wide. 2 concrete walls. 1 bunk. 1 toilet. No noise but the echo of everything she lost. At first, Nia kept to herself. Ate her food. Made her bed. Didn't cry that first night, though her chest ached like something had been hollowed out with a dull spoon. Monty wrote first. Sweet letters. Soft promises. I miss you, girl. Soon as you get out, we start over. You're a queen for this. I'll never forget it. She read those letters like scripture, folded them tight until the creases wore through. Every night before lights out, she reread them. Every word was a lifeline. Camera wrote too. Bright, sugary notes, too cheerful for prison paper. Hang in there, sis. Monty's doing okay. I'm keeping him focused. You be proud. At first, Nia smiled. That was her baby sister. Wild, yes, but still blood. Time moved strange behind bars. Fast when it hurt. Slow when it didn't. She learned the rhythm, stayed in her lane. Didn't get too close. Didn't stay too distant. Spoke when she had to. Listened when she didn't. She worked in the laundry room, pressing uniforms, folding stiff sheets. Later, the library. That was her sanctuary. Books stacked high like an escape ladder. She read everything. Wrote letters to herself. Wrote to God, too, even when faith felt like an ember dying in the cold. By the end of year 2, Monty's letters got shorter. More distant. Less I love you. More I've been busy. Some women end up in prison because they made a mistake. Others get there because they loved too deeply, too blindly. Nia Johnson wasn't the type to run the streets. She wasn't wild. She was steady, responsible, the kind of woman who kept her mama's house in order while her younger sister ran the block. The one who worked double shifts to keep the lights on and never once asked to be thanked. But even good girls have a breaking point. And for Nia, that breaking point had a name. Monty. DeMonte Ford had the kind of charm that made you ignore every red flag waving in your face. A neighborhood Romeo with quick hands and smoother lies. But with Nia, he was different, or so she believed. He told her she made him want more. Said he was tired of ducking cops, tired of the street life. You, he said, you make me want to be better. And Nia believed him. By 21, they were living together in a small 1-bedroom apartment with a broken heater and a mattress on the floor. But they were happy, or at least Nia was. She worked days at a clinic. Monty picked up odd jobs and swore he was staying clean. Still, he had friends in the street, took phone calls that made Nia's gut twist. But every time she asked, he'd kiss her forehead and whisper, I got us, baby. Trust me. And she did every single time. Then there was Camera, Nia's younger sister. If Nia was calm, Camera was chaos. Loud, stylish, and always acting like the world owed her something. Where Nia stayed home and folded laundry, Camera was out sneaking through windows and coming back with glitter still on her face. They loved each other, but tension lingered beneath the surface. Camera had always envied Nia. Maybe not the responsibilities, but the admiration Nia received. The attention, the respect. And when Nia brought Monty around, Camera noticed. She laughed too hard at his jokes, asked too many personal questions. Always had a reason to be nearby when he was around. Nia noticed, but dismissed it. She trusted her sister. She trusted Monty. They were family. Family doesn't cross lines, right? Still, every now and then, Nia would catch a look. A quick glance from Camera that lingered too long. Monty never acted inappropriate, but he was oddly distant around Camera. Too polite, too stiff. Something fell off. Nia's gut whispered, "Pay attention." But she didn't. Because love blinds you. And loyalty? Loyalty makes you stupid. Nia's world wasn't perfect, but it was hers. A small apartment, a man she loved, and a sister she protected. What she didn't know was that everything she'd built sat on a cracking foundation, and it was about to collapse. Charlotte nights changed. The streets felt heavier. Monty's late nights got later. His conversations became clipped. He had new sneakers every other week and came home with wads of cash that smelled like secrets. Nia asked just once, "Where's all this coming from?" Monty smiled and said, "Helping my boy flip cars. Nothing big. I got us." She didn't press. She needed to believe him. Until the knock. It was just after midnight. Nia was folding laundry. Monty was supposed to be home. But before she could even blink, the door flew open. Police. Flashlights. Guns. Chaos. They tore through the apartment like they already knew what they were looking for. And they found it quickly. 2 bricks of cocaine behind the coats. Cash neatly stacked under the bed. A scale and baggies on the table. Monty went pale. Silent. Defeated. Before they separated them, the cops gave Monty a private moment with her. Just him and Nia, her hands cuffed, her heart pounding. Monty leaned in close and whispered, "This ain't what it looks like. They caught you, not me. That means we still got a chance. You can fix this for us. First offense, you'll do 3 years, maybe 5. I'll wait. I swear." He squeezed her hands like it was a promise. Like it was love. Nia nodded once. Not because she believed, but because love had rules. And she always followed them. The next morning, they booked her. Mugshot. Fingerprints. Cuffs on her ankles like she was a threat. She told them it was all hers. That Monty knew nothing. She even cried, begged them to believe she was just trying to make quick money. In court, she stood alone. Monty never showed. No visit. No letter. 13 years. Just like that. She didn't cry when they took her away. She didn't scream. She carried her sentence like she'd carried everything else in her life, with silence and strength. But by year 4, strength had a limit. A guard handed her a letter. No name. No return address. Inside, a wedding photo. Monty in a tuxedo. Camera in white. And just like that, Nia's world shattered. Again, he didn't show up in person. Instead, he had the divorce papers sent through her counselor. No explanation. No apology. Just boxes checked and lines signed. Nia didn't argue. She just signed quietly. One more piece of herself vanished without making a sound. 2 years after Monty and Chamira got married, they bought a home out in Mint Hill. 2 stories, a big backyard, a porch swing that creaked in the breeze. Monty opened a tire shop off the highway. On the surface, it all looked clean, registered business, real sign, legal license. But Monty still kept a gun in the glove compartment. Because even if he swapped the hustle for a business, the streets never really let go. He still walked like someone was following him. Still checked that rearview mirror twice. Chamira, on the other hand, was glowing. She had a real estate license. Her hair was always done, her nails sharp as tacks. She had the gift of talk, knew how to make folks feel like they were buying into a dream. People loved her. Clients trusted her. She looked like success. But at night, when the house was quiet and the kids were asleep, Chamira would sit alone in the dark with a glass of wine and that far-off stare. Because guilt doesn't scream. It whispers. And it whispers all the time. They had 3 kids in 5 years. A boy first, then 2 girls. Pictures everywhere. Coordinated outfits, birthday balloons, baby teeth in labeled envelopes. But Nia's name? It was never spoken. Like it was cursed. Like it didn't belong. When the oldest asked once, "Who's Aunt Nia?" Chamira changed the subject. Monty walked out of the room. But secrets, especially those rooted in betrayal, they never stay buried forever. 13 years. That's how long it had been since Nia Johnson felt the sun on her face, without a chain-link fence blocking the view. She was 37 now. No longer the girl who went down for love. When she stepped out of those prison gates, all she had was a government-issued duffel bag and a heart-burning quiet. No one came to meet her. Not Monty. Not Chamira. Even her mama, who used to be the first to hug her, wasn't there. She'd passed away 5 years earlier. No visit. No call. Nobody from the family even told Nia until months after the funeral. The only person who still cared was Aunt Vi, her mama's big sister. Tough as leather. Always had a scarf on her head and a Bible in her bag. She picked Nia up from the halfway house in an old Ford that smelled like menthols and gospel hymns. "You look thin," Aunt Vi said, eyes fixed on the road. "Food ain't been good in there," Nia answered, voice flat. That was all they needed to say. Aunt Vi didn't ask for explanations. She gave Nia the back room, a towel set, and a hot meal like it was nothing. "You don't owe nobody nothing, baby," she said. "But you do owe yourself peace." Nia nodded. That was the only promise she felt ready to keep. She found work 2 weeks later. Night shifts cleaning office buildings downtown. Mop bucket, gloves, disinfectant. Quiet, simple work. Her first few weeks back, Nia moved slow. She didn't ask about Monty or Chamira. She didn't have to. Silence already told her everything. One night after dinner, Aunt Vi looked up from her plate of cornbread and said, "You know they married now." Nia just stared into her tea. "I know. 3 kids. Big house in Mint Hill. Tire shop. Real estate. You mad?" I asked. "I ain't got the energy to be mad," Nia said. "I just remember." Vi studied her face like she was reading scripture. "You sure?" "I'm sure," Nia answered. But deep down, she wasn't. She didn't know if she was mad, or calm, or just numb. What she did know was that something inside her had shifted. It wasn't fire. Not yet. But it was smoke. And smoke always means something's burning. 2 days later, Nia saw her. Chamira, downtown on a break, leaning against a white SUV. High heels, too tight dress. Laughing into her phone, sunlight catching the gold hoops in her ears. Nia stood across the street, watching quietly. Because sometimes after all that silence, seeing someone face to face is louder than any scream. For a moment, Nia couldn't breathe. She stood still, frozen in place, watching her little sister float through the city like she hadn't left wreckage behind. Chamira didn't notice her. She was laughing, carefree, glowing in the sunshine like someone who'd never broken a promise. Nia followed, quiet and careful, not knowing why. Her feet just moved. Chamira pulled into a quiet cul-de-sac lined with manicured lawns and fresh paint. House number 218. 2-car garage. Blue shutters. A porch swaying in the breeze. Nia stopped at the corner and watched. The front door swung open. A little girl darted out barefoot, giggling with a cupcake in hand. Then another child followed behind. And then came Monty, still tall, still smooth. Same walk, same swagger. But this time he wore a gold watch and carried a little more age in his face. He kissed Chamira on the cheek like it was nothing, like he hadn't once vowed forever to the woman watching from the shadows. Chamira leaned into him, her hand resting on his chest like she belonged there. Then she turned and walked back toward the bus stop. No tears, no shaking, just silence and memory. She carried every promise, every letter, every lie with her. The next day, Nia didn't go to work. She swept the porch, cleaned the kitchen, made Aunt Vi a glass of sweet tea, like it was just another day. But inside, something had clicked. This wasn't hearsay. It wasn't an old photo. She'd seen it with her own eyes. Monty's new life. Camera's prize. And Nia? She was the ghost they thought they'd buried. But Monty had forgotten something important. Some people you don't cross. Some debts you don't escape. 15 years ago, before wedding rings, before the tire shop, before the family portraits and real estate business, Monty made a move that changed everything. Back then, he ran with a crew. Reese's crew. Not a full member, but close enough. Monty handled drops, collected payments, skimmed a little off the top. Thought no one would notice. But Reese noticed. Always did. Monty disappeared right when the heat showed up. Skipped town. Laid low. A few weeks later, Reese got hit with a weapons charge and went down hard. Word on the street was Monty tipped the scale to save himself. Reese never forgot, and neither did Nia. She never told Aunt Vi, never told anyone. She just made a phone call, calm, cool, like she was ordering groceries. She used a burner phone, used the name Kia, and spoke in a tone you only learn from being around men who don't forgive. "He's back," she said. "Got money now. A family. A business. Tires and real estate. Clean on paper, but you know better. She never said Monty's name. She didn't have to. The line was silent for a moment. Then a voice replied with a low hum, "Appreciated." Click. 2 weeks later, on a Thursday morning, Monty was opening his shop like usual, coffee in one hand, keys in the other. He never saw it coming. 6 shots. 2 to the chest. 2 to the stomach. 1 to the shoulder. 1 clean through the face. East Side signature. Quick. Precise. Quiet. By the time the paramedics arrived, Monty was already gone, face down on the pavement, bleeding in front of the shop that bore his name. Police called it a robbery. Maybe gang-related. Maybe a deal gone bad. No witnesses. No leads. Just another man with a past who finally ran out of time. At the funeral, Chamira screamed. Her body shook like it couldn't hold the grief. She clutched her children like they were the only thing tethering her to this world. She collapsed next to the casket in a black dress and trembling hands. People cried. The preacher spoke. But in the back of the church, sitting alone in the final pew, was Nia. Black shades on, hair pulled tight, still as stone. She didn't cry. She didn't blink. She didn't move the entire service. She just sat there, like a shadow that had finally caught up with the light. And no one noticed her. No one dared to look too long. After the burial, Nia slipped away, quiet, without farewells. Monty had stolen her freedom. Chamira had betrayed her trust. But Nia? Nia had taken something, too. And in that moment, she finally felt free. The next morning, she left town without a word. No tears. No goodbyes. No trace. She boarded a Greyhound to Atlanta with a single duffel bag and a new name printed on her ID. No one asked questions. She didn't offer answers. Today, Nia lives in a modest apartment on the quieter side of the city. No pictures on the walls, just a few houseplants, a shelf full of books, and jazz playing low from a dusty speaker in the kitchen. She moves lightly, pays in cash, and sleeps with the window cracked open just enough to feel the breeze. She isn't angry. She isn't bitter. She's simply done. Some debts, she says, aren't settled in court. They're paid in blood. Now tell me, if you were Nia, would you have stayed silent or made that call? Leave a comment below. And if you enjoy stories where forgiveness ends and consequences begin, hit subscribe. The next one might be even darker.